What's going on, guys? YogiZilla here, playing SolForge. I have returned to the game that pretty much launched my Twitch career, as short-lived as it is. And I'm gonna mix up things. I'm gonna, today's sample Sunday. I'm extending my whole practice of dusting off old games and justifying impulse purchases, and kind of switching up the rotation a bit, getting a little more variety out there. But also, it's Strategy Gaming Month, December 2013, for those watching well after the fact. And I'm going to try to make a video that's suitable for YouTube as well. So what I want to do is play a little SolForge and talk about my issues with it, and also my issue with TCGs in general. And I just came across a lot of good stuff on the forums on SolForgeGame.com. I want to say, before I say anything bad about the game, I do love SolForge, but I find myself getting burnt out on it, and Scrolls as well. And for all the differences between every kind of deck building game out there, whether it's a TCG or CCG or whatever else you want to qualify it as, they all share the same kind of issues. And on the forums, people kind of the SolForge community is actually very savvy, and even though a lot of them are first-time TCG players, it's funny. A lot of folks have ended up on SolForge because they couldn't get into Hearthstone, and that open beta has been delayed. That's the Blizzard way. And of course, inevitably there's comparisons, and there's people saying, well, there can only be one, and this one's better than that one. You should play this one instead, or all this kind of crazy stuff. Now, some people are also acting like this is a new space. TCGs have been growing massively in numbers, especially in digital format. Last year alone, I could think of like maybe 5 to 10 that were released, or at least hit a startup or a crowdfunding phase. And I think that's gonna keep growing because the great thing about TCGs is, digital TCGs, is that you could keep adding fresh content, keep the experience fresh, and they're relatively easy to develop. There's more artwork involved, that's the only thing. But for smaller developers, it's an easy way to break into the market and develop a cult following, if not a massive following. SolForge definitely has more of a cult following. Let me adjust my screen here, make it look a little prettier. There we go. That was irking me. I know I'm being anal retentive, but yeah. So the major issues with TCGs in general is that you always hear about, in different games, you always hear about the meta, the elusive meta, how the meta game basically dictates what strategies and builds and combos are really viable. And in most TCGs, you usually have a meta game that supports, maybe one or two colors or factions, or a handful of builds. I would say, in that regard, SolForge is one of the worst, and Scrolls and Magic are much stronger. Magic is actually very strong in that. Yu-Gi-Oh is probably the strongest, even though a lot of people don't take that as a serious game. But there's just so much variety in what you'll see in decks out there, and you could combine a lot more stuff because the synergies aren't forced. It's more like, this is what these cards do. They're not meant to work with anything specifically, but there are cards that were released with these certain cards with the intention of being played together, but people find new ways to combine them. And the Yu-Gi-Oh is very much like that, and Magic as well. But Magic is a little tougher to combine because you got to worry about resource management, and really running a dual color deck is about as good as you can really get. Tricolor gets a lot tougher. But SolForge has a big issue with that. You run into the same kind of broken decks, and it's really hard to counter them unless you're building specifically to counter them, or you just bite the bullet and you just jump into the bandwagon, join the bandwagon, and get those broken cards yourself and make those same kind of decks. That's what happens. People get whipped by the same kind of decks, and then they say, "Well, forget about this. I'm just gonna build the same kind of deck once they get those cards." And once they get the cards, they're like, "All right," and they just follow the lead. And then all you see in matchmaking are the same kind of decks. So it's kind of a shame. It makes the gameplay experience very stale. But that's what you should expect in a deck building game. What I'm gonna do is just play a few matches now that I've kind of went off on a rant, 6-minute rant, pretty much, and just catch up on SolForge. I'm not gonna play any music because I would like to get this up on YouTube, and they're kind of retarded when it comes to playing music. Actually, I do have a royalty-free music source that they can't say anything about, so I'm gonna put that instead. This is TechnoX. Let me just pull that up. So just speaking more to the whole all the issues with, I probably should have said problems. The more issues, the opportunities with TCGs in general, but SolForge specifically. The whole thing about RNG, the randomness of your, people call it the random god. RNG stands for something specific, but it's just a random element of, losing just because you get a really crappy hand. SolForge doesn't have a mulligan option, and it has the whole core mechanic of leveling up cards. If you're not familiar with SolForge, is tricky because as you rank up, you could draw those leveled up cards. Right now, each card has 3 forms, and what happens sometimes when you're in later ranks, rank 3 and up, you're drawing level 1 cards or level 2 cards, and you're falling behind. So in this way, SolForge reminds me a lot of Scrolls with the whole knowing when to sacrifice or when to just play the best card available right then and there. With SolForge, I find like you have to really unless you have a really aggressive deck, the early hands, you have to try to just focus on your late game and see what you really want leveled up as soon as possible. Because those are the cards you're going to hope you get later on. Those are your game changers. And for most people, those are Savants. Because Savants are just that good. Well, maybe not Steel Shaper Savant. Steel Shaper Savant isn't as useful, but if you look at Dark Shaper Savants, Fire Shaper Savant, and Life Shaper Savant, in that order, you see them very often, and once you get those cycles going where you have 1 or 2 of them out and you have supporting cards out, it's really tough to counter them and get rid of them. And by the time you do, you're so far behind that it's like constant catching up. SolForge does suffer very much from getting very crappy hands and just trying to recover from that. Not a good time. Alright, so let's get some music going here. TechnoX with a K. TEKNOX is royalty-free music.
See the episode last night?
Yes, I did.
That's an ad right now. No, thank you. Big props to Obi-Wan-X2 for introducing me to this channel on YouTube. Because right now they are really cracking down on copyright infringement and stuff of that sort. So, yeah. I do hope to get back into SolForge. It's just I have to say that not much to bring me back in because wait, these are not the playlists. Let me find one of the Techno Max playlists. I'm at a point when I have a bunch of rewards stockpiled and I don't really care about them as much. And when I play against random people, it just isn't that fun to me. So what I probably will be doing is just having invitationals where you guys can join me in some good times. You know, I'd rather lose to people that are viewers, followers, fans, whatever, supporters, than just constantly go into a loop of never-ending pain, which is what it feels like half the time. All right, I think I just play. I cannot find any of his playlists right now. I know he has some. Ah, here we go. That's a question. He had a bunch of playlists on here. Now I can't find them. Alright, well, I'll just play a random one here. Oh, here we go. There's the playlist. That's weird. Some dubstep. Because why not? Alright. Let me switch it up a little bit. Alright. Cool. So yeah, I would like to play more SolForge. I do enjoy this game. I love the mechanics. I think it's a very fresh approach to traditional TCGs, but I just don't. You know, a lot of times it just feels like the grind. So let's go through the store. It's been a while. What the heck? Wow, SolForge just crashed on me. Now that's the first one. I haven't seen much updates from the folks over in Stoneblade. At least it looks pretty quiet unless you visit the website. They haven't updated their Steam store page, which I think is not cool. They really should leverage that. Okay. That was weird. Make sure everything's okay. I gotta readjust this. That's another thing. That's a small thing that annoys me. You have to resize each time you play the game. There's certain size I like to have it on. And sometimes I just want to jump straight into streaming and not have to do a lot of prep. Alright, let's go through the store. Let me see if I'm gonna get anything good. Well, I still have gold. Let me open up these normal boosters real quick. Now, I'm not gonna open everything I got right now because I don't feel like doing. Oh, I got a Warmonger mod. That's pretty cool. I don't feel like doing any deck building today. Oh wow, Scrapforge Titan. I'm actually getting really good draws. I wonder if they adjusted the drop rates. That was one of the things that was annoying me. Is the fact that it didn't feel like they had any fresh content. Hey, Static Shock. Cool. Actually, I think I already have Static Shock. There's another one, Static Spark, I think is the one that I've been hoping for. Spirit Flame Mystic isn't bad. It's just tricky to use it effectively. Alright, so those are all the ones I had stockpiled over the past few weeks. I've actually I used to log on every day to collect my rewards, and lately I have not been motivated to do that. Alright, I'm gonna play my armored Dr. Eggman deck, and then I play a random online. I'm probably gonna die. I'm gonna eat some cereal while I wait. I am guessing that this game has been struggling a little bit because usually I find matches much faster than that. And also, whenever I streamed SolForge in the past, I almost always got someone right away. Just the music real quick. That's why I can't do it. It's so silly. Did he get a wisp out or something? Oh, okay. Gargoyle. That's another one of those annoying cards that I've seen a lot of. Alright, so he's running Aloyan as well, looks like. Alright, what else do I want to get out here? I want to play Scout Drone, because later on it'll be a free play. As silly as it seems. Sometimes all you want to do is just clog up a lane. One thing I do enjoy about playing this game and streaming it for you guys is, or recording videos, which I'm doing both right now. So it's a good opportunity to engage people. Oh gosh, this guy. You know, usually other games I play, it's really hard to like chew gum and walk at the same time. Oh, wow, it was enough to kill him. That's kind of silly of me. Oh well. Yeah, like when I play LOL, it's like really hard for me to like look at the chat by any means. And people get frustrated by that. Yeah, I'm having cereal when it's like well past lunchtime. Another issue with TCGs in general is that a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, if you're a newcomer, it's a long road. It's a lot of grinding to get into equal footing with the more established players. And that's where the pay to win comes into play, where you can catch up with people that play longer. But I feel like brackets and matchmaking should be not just based on win-loss or some sort of elo, but on the time spent in the game, the hours logged. So that's a pretty good indicator. I mean, let's face it, as a newbie, beating someone with starter cards is probably not realistic. I know he made that into defender, but still, make him think twice about attacking that. This is probably the first time in a long time that I've played that doesn't have a broken deck. Might be a newer player. And judging by the random string of numbers, we'll probably, yeah. Alright. He's gonna be a pain in the butt. I don't have an answer to that. Just soften him up a bit. I do feel this is a very like chill kind of TCG. Like when I play Scrolls, I feel like I have to think a lot more because like you're constantly evaluating the field and try to think like, Here, since you get a fresh hand each turn, you're not thinking, trying to think several steps in advance. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, I think. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Excuse me. By not playing level 1, I could not use the Steel Shaper Savant's effect, but I think that was the better play. This Ionic War Charge is probably going to come in on this now. We'll see what he will do. Probably should have answered that SolForge avatar, but I'm just a crazy kind of guy. That I wasn't really paying attention.